Yes, Peter. So we were talking about we are talking about you. You're talking about how you work. What is your productivity routine looks like, and how do you keep tweeting all day, night? And I feel like you do not sleep at all, right? I know it would be like a repetition for you to explain me everything that we just talked about, but since now the recording is on, so let's go.
Yeah, I'm really like I already started recording. I brought anecdotes for like 15 minutes, and then this guy tells me that, oh, it's not recorded yet. The way to get my time. You know, I could prompt 3 agents right now. You realize that there's like none of them is working. Do you think there's a subscription for nothing?
App. You missed a complete app in these
Oh,
15 minutes.
no, I'll work on three at the same time. You know,
I believe.
well, one app just like. Uh, so I do sleep. Um,
Yeah.
Definitely not enough right now. The like I rarely actually sometimes I call them agents, but many times I just call them slot machines because I feel they are the ultimate drug for programmers. Or my friends call them catnip for programmers.
I see.
It's literal catnip because it's the most serotonin addictive thing. You type it in and like something amazing could come out that wows you, or it could just go on a vision quest, break everything, and you get like incredibly mad. Like
It's a 0-1 equation.
last night I was working on this keyboard, and then at some point I got a bit lazy um in the prompting, and it misunderstood me and added the keyboard to the login screen. So then you had like your image, you had the password, and they had like the keyboard underneath. And I'm like, you stupid idiot! Like, and then like when I like erase thing. And the beauty thing is like they are always nice, right? So
Yeah.
all you get is like you can hear sound. Oh, the user is very upset. I need to recognize this. It's the other thinking and then like it's apologizing. Um,
You mentioned that you write a whole page of prompt whenever.
yeah, I think this was
What's up with that? Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people are missing. If you just give them a tiny prompt, sticks this, build me virtual keyboard, shit will come out. Yeah, if you put shit in, shit will come out. So
Right.
so I use Whisperflow because it's fuck, they should give me affiliates by now because I converted so many people. It's by far the best. It's by far the best thing to like understand your voice. It comes from the point that you can whisper to it, you understand. But really, what it also does is it parses what I say. So if I say, do it this way, no, do it that way, it will just write, do it that way, which is extremely convenient because you want to be like clear what you want to give to the agent, but
Yeah.
you also want to like explain it from different angles. So if I talk about, like we want to make the layout better and the padding, then I say a few samples. You see like this button here, it's too far on the right side, and our goal is to have it right aligned. So like you repeat yourself from a few different angles, and then usually you will get your perfect one-shot response.
Do you also specify the overall UI while prompting? Is it like that?
Everything's smart here. Do you
Everything-
think do these do these hands look like they write code? They're only here for bespoke prompting. No, that's not true. Sometimes I do like tiny fixes because it's faster, or like if you do like a little UI change, sometimes faster. But if you like the way I do it is like I work on usually 2 to 4 different things based on how much I actually slept and how complex it is. Let's just move on. I prompt one agent, then they'll run off and work for 5, 10, 15 minutes. And I'll move to the next thing and prompt an agent. And then I move to the next thing and prompt an agent. I don't use work like different directories. Everything goes into the same directory. I just pick different areas of my products so that
Yeah.
so the chances that they interfere are low. And then I review everything in Tower, like some Git app that has a good diffing, and either I revert it But it's also what people think, like if they make shit, then just revert it. And give them a fresh context.
Reverting with Claude is not that easy if you compare it with Cursor. Would you agree to that? Like, if you are constantly committing your changes, then that's a different case. Otherwise, you might end up with a mess. That's what my experience is so far. I mean, like, you have been using it quite heavily. I know that looking at what our products you have built so far.
I completely stopped using. I completely stopped using Cursor. I like the Cloud Code workflow much better, where I have, like in Cursor, even switching from one agent to another is like a 3-second operation, and it's very wonky. And then Cursor often just loses connection or has issues. The agents in Cursor, they are not very eager to fetch in
context.
They don't fetch in a lot of files. Their system prompt is built in a way where it's optimized that you have to think what they see, and then yes, they will fetch, but they'll not fetch a lot. And I think ultimately this is part of the way Cursor charges you money, because they charge per request and not per token. So they make sure that every request doesn't eat too many tokens. So
right,
if you pull less into context, you have less tokens. So ultimately this is a monetary interest, and Anthropic is just like nom nom eating tokens like crazy. That's also why they're better. They pay paper. So I pick like different areas of my project, and then I just give, and then I commit. Like as soon as I test it works, I commit. I mean, we're like 5 people here, and we're committing to master.
Can you quickly take me through your workflow, how you use Claude Code? Because we have like verbally talked about writing a prompt which is a page size, but how does that prompt looks like?
In the JavaScript frontend, when we don't have authorization, then we don't show the authorization control. But authorization control contains the settings. So in this case, we run on no authentication, so just show the settings icon. Don't call it settings, just use the glyph that represents settings. That's a very simple prompt, because it was just one action to add a button. Then not. This is like a very small prompt. But usually I just use VistaFlow, and I as I review the page, I'll talk and basically tell it what I don't like and what it should change. And then if it's like UI changes, it'll queue multiple things together. And then I try to explain it from different angles.
Okay.
Because the more you talk, the less they'll be able to hallucinate, because they'll understand better what you actually mean and what your reasoning behind this. So sometimes I say stupid stuff like, you do this because it looks like shit. Right? It doesn't matter, but like I like to swear. I think people who swear like be more honest and more happy people. So I'll just say this looks like shit. They're always nice. They can take it.
I have seen people give you a lot of heat if you talk along the lines of software engineering is changing a lot, like it has been evolving with this AI era, and a lot of jobs will go away once this comes in properly. This has already, this is already here. It is not something which is futuristic now. What is your perspective on this? How do you look at this particular thing happening in the software engineering space, and where are we heading to?
I mean, that's society ultimately, right? We had a lot more farmer jobs 100 years ago. We had a lot more industrial jobs 50 years ago. You can't be mad at progress. If you lose your job or not is up to you. Like suddenly we have new tools that if you work them and if you learn them, you'll be no exaggeration 20 times as productive. If you look at how much I'm able to build, like the insane thing is, like even a year ago, all these ideas, you had to be very picky what you actually build, because everything will take you weeks. You can't have 5 side projects. And now, like the other day, I was looking for a website that would store the Sparkle update data, so I know who is on which. Like there's all these companies that gobble up all the user data. I don't like that. But I mean, I want the absolute minimum, privacy focused. But I'm interested in like, when can I drop a macOS version, for example? So Sparkle is exactly built like this. They send updates once a week, but like all the projects I found were shit, or like old, or not maintained anymore. So I'm like, no, just build my own. And then just like in 4 hours, I built a whole website backed by Postgres, already hosted, and it's already working in fucking 4 hours. Like this would be
Wow.
at least, and I'm not that good with web stuff even yet. So this would have taken me at least a few days back in the day.
To do it.
And I did it while working on 2 other things. It's not like it was like 100% of my mental capacity. It was like a thing on the side with 30%. And I built it in a way that everybody can now use it. It doesn't even have a login. It's just like one page analytics, but it's updating images. You know, it's like it's sophisticated stuff. It's not just HTML. It has like a socket connection to the database, and as data comes in, it updates live. That alone in the old days would have taken me multiple days. How the fuck do you do that? So now I just tell Claude to do it, and it just does it. What changed is now you have like my task is to like pick the right technologies. Like I use Supabase. I know Supabase has a real-time sync. So how hard can it be? It's around for a while. So like there's enough word knowledge that I don't even have to pull in any documentation. It will just know, and it'll build it. I started not from scratch, but I used V0, like a no-code system. Why? Because they are very opinionated. They use like React, Vercel, Next.js.
I have less interface.
Yeah, it just started. It built something. It's not very good, but it gave me the structure that I wanted. So I don't have to like tell Claude to use that structure, because it built all of that structure. And at some point, I reached the limit of that agent because they use. I don't actually know what they use. I actually don't care. But then I just went to GitHub and then used Claude Code to take over. Like my first prompt was, here's some shit that should be this, repair it. And then I just started to explain what I want, and it built it on the side.
That's amazing. But we haven't yet answered it, that what will happen to the existing software engineers that are there in the industry? Not everyone can be at the top of it, right? If that makes sense. So whatever is going to happen with, like, we can see these tools like Claude Code, which is a CLI based tool. Now we are also hearing news about Gemini coming up with a CLI tool. So is the future heading towards CLI tools again? Like since they are not focusing on having a GUI at all, and I heard one of the creators of Claude Code talking about the same, that they needed this tool because they want to experiment, they want to use it at their space as Anthropic.
I'm putting my Johnny Ive voice on. There is beauty in simplicity. We took away every single code. So all you have is a prompt and a text window, and you can fully focus on what's most important to you, the planning and the clear thinking. I actually think the constraints those tools put you under are like the biggest plus, because it's just the way to enter text and to read text. I think there's value in having it in VS Code from time to time, so you have like, you can read more of your files, especially when you reach the limits of what agents can do. So I have my IDE next to it, where sometimes I read up stuff, but mostly I read the diffs, and then I'll bitch at my agents if I don't like it. But they're not magic. If you know how to use them, like again with this keyboard thing, I tried for like the first 20 minutes and like nothing worked. So then I did like research. Okay, what do I know about that space? Anchoring views on virtual keyboard always been very difficult, very hacky. We know that browsers made a lot of improvements over the year. This is a problem many people face. So obviously, there will be APIs in newer browsers that will make this easier. So I did research on like what APIs we have. Of course, I found stuff. I found a document, a very long markdown that explains how this new API works. I just copied the URL into Claude and say, read this and now build it right. And ultrasync. Not everybody can spend so much time like me on this. I totally get it. Like there's people who have a life and have a family. I don't. So
I mean,
Like-
that's so hilarious coming from you, because you work like almost 16-20 hours you mentioned, and
yeah.
you're being so modest and making fun of it itself. But I mean, if you have to be at that, if you become the top 1% of any game, I believe you have to put in those efforts that you're already putting in. And
I would not have fun. Like that's my drive. Like I don't just want to like be one of the best people there. I also like wanna like help other people get more stuff done faster and like learn. So whenever I see that like I inspire someone, that's why I do it.
that's amazing. And I believe that's why you open source the projects as well, right?
Oh, I mean that's my mantra. Like everything I do is open source. There's literally maybe some old projects from before my burnout. But now everything you can look up everything on GitHub. So it's so funny when there was like someone who blocked me on their new system for startup slop. And like I guess I didn't get the memo. Oh, there's like something like Hacker News, but they blocked my website for startup slop.
Okay.
And I guess this is a bigger discussion that might need to happen. Because of course I can do one prompt and say, hey, write me a blog post about X, and then like garbage will come out. Yes, you have your slop.
Yeah.
But if I work, I usually need about like 3-4 hours for each blog post. So even if I use agents to like do most of the writing, I iterate so much on what I want to say. And then at some point, my blog post is always like 20-25 minutes, and then like the hard work is to compress it into like 5 minutes. So you actually like you
Quite nice.
figure out what's the story, what's the message I want to get across. Nobody's gonna read 20 minutes of my rambling.
Cool.
That's not. I mean, yeah, sure, AI can like trim it down, but it won't be interesting. It won't be good.
Uh-huh.
So even if I didn't write every word myself, I'm putting so much love and care into each blog post that telling me this is the iSlab is like really insulting.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, that's a separate discussion. Like I also have a newsletter, and that one will get the biologic, organic, handwritten words from my hands.
It's not something you generate from AI.
Yeah, because my newsletter it's like a different side of me, like the more personal side, and there I want to have my like 100% my voice. Some of the blog posts, I don't care if like some words are different, because I want to get the knowledge across. I want to make a good story. I want to have it interesting, and ultimately I also document what I did, because I like a few weeks ago I did like almost 3 days where I built a really good set of scripts to take over notarization, the whole release process for Mac apps, because there was nothing good out there. There's Fastlane, but it's basically unmaintained, and you have to deal with Ruby, which you can. I like Ruby, but it's yet another language. So I just built everything in shell scripts. But I would forget half of it if I don't write it out, because I do too much. So like part of the motivation is also like I document this for future me, and also I don't want anyone to go through that pain. You can just copy my scripts, please do. Yeah, this
And enjoy it.
and on the line the sun. Yeah, this literally it was not pleasant.
Recently,
Although it's also fun. This work is fun if it's challenging, but you overcome those challenges. And now I feel with when you use agents, there's literally nothing you can do, because whenever you're stuck, they'll help you out. When they are stuck, you can use smarter agents. You can always ask O3.
Yeah.
And those things has like the knowledge of the world in them. So now the motto is, does it defy the laws of gravity or physics? No? Then it can be done.
True.
And I think
Any
that's,
piece of software is like feasible in today's time.
yeah, and that's extremely empowering. Like in the past, how you sometimes get stuck, and then you have no one to ask, and then you go on Stack Overflow, and you find this one question from this one guy that posted the same question 8 years ago, and there's only one response, and it's wrong. Or sometimes, fuck, I had things where I googled and then I found like a blog post from like 9 years ago from myself, and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened.
That was a crazy time. There was a crazy time if compared.
But now, literally, I don't get people that reject this amazing technology. Yes, it is in a way scary. It will cost jobs, but ultimately it's up to you. Like, you don't even have to be the best. You just have to know and use those tools, and then you're already ahead. If you reject those things, then at some point people will reject you at your work, because you'll be replaced by someone who might not be as smart as you, but who knows how to use a much better hammer for his job. And then like people will pick that person because he just yields a much better hammer.
Makes sense. Also, I read your blog post on the app that you recently built, VibeTunnel, right? You have multiple apps now. One of them is VibeTunnel, other one is VibeMeter, right? I have tried VibeMeter before. I was exploring VibeTunnel myself a day or two ago, and I figured that it is a really powerful application. And at the same time, I thought that, how did this idea came to your mind? That's when I ended up on your website and read that blog that you have already written a detailed blog on the whole hackathon that went on. So tell me more about that. Yeah.
Do you know the meme from Malcolm in the Middle where he's trying to fix a light bulb, and then 4 hours later he's like all dirty under the car, and his wife comes in and says, "Hey, the light bulb is broken." He's like, "What the fuck do you think I'm doing?"
I do remember that.
So that's kind of like how I feel. I had this idea of something I want to build, which I still want to build. And I started building it, and then I noticed that the build tools suck. Like,
I see.
So I started.
The outpost sucks.
Back then I was still using Cursor, so I started building like MCPs for Cursor. And then I noticed that, hey, actually building MCPs sucks. So I started building things so I could build better MCPs for the thing that I use to build Cursor. And now I'm one way deeper. Now I'm building something that helps me use Claude Code, which helps me build MCPs, which helps me build this, which ultimately would help me build this. So I think like, like Inception, I'm like in level 4. I don't know how many levels there are, but I think I'm quite deep now. Like the spinner is
You're almost there, man.
Anymore.
Yes.
And I know I realize it's ridiculous, but like I think my goal is to learn and to have fun. So it doesn't matter if I continue up there, which also is something I'll get back to eventually, or if I'm a few layers down and I have incredible fun building something and learning something. So I just roll with it, and wherever I look, there's things to learn. Right now I'm like extremely excited about our little. Couldn't you just use SSH tool? So I guess for people who don't know, I talked to some of my friends and we decided let's do a hackathon because we're all completely addicted to our slot machine. So and we're not gonna sleep anyhow. So let's hack a night together and hack something out. And then we thought, you always have this issue that Claude or Edge in general, they run 10-20 minutes, but sometimes you want to like check up on them because they like to go on vision quests if you don't steer them, or they stop prematurely because something happened. So I'm going up to the kitchen, and I know that it will probably take 10 more minutes to complete, but it would be nice to just make sure that it works, because if it stops 1 minute in and then I come back 10 minutes later, I'm going to be disappointed. So wouldn't it be nice if I could check up on them on my phone? And I theoretically I could with like screen sharing, but like I have a really big screen here. Doing it on the phone is like really fiddly. And then of course there's all these systems where you could do things in the cloud, and then they make a pull request. But first of all, it doesn't really work because they all run on Linux, and right now I'm building Mac stuff, so you don't have access to Swift. And then the pull request workflow, it makes sense for bigger teams, doesn't make sense for me because
if I work on myself, why should I use a workflow that's built for bigger teams? I just commit to main. Unless it's something risky, then I use a branch, but not for every little thing.
True.
So we decided, okay, let's build something where we can see what Cloud Code does on our phones.
I see.
And then maybe also get a notification, like a push notification when it's done.
I see.
Um,
Can you give me a live demo of how it works? I mean, that's not for me, that's for the people who are going to watch this. That
a live demo.
I'll just share. Yeah, if you can just share the screen and give us a okay, this is your prompt that is going on, and this is how you can check the progress in your mobile app.
Yeah, this is the mobile area that's in upcoming beta 4. And then here you just see all your terminals. And these are mostly agents. And you can open your terminal, and then you can basically, you see like a nicely we changed the size so it fits.
Right.
I broke the scrolling, so that's why it doesn't scroll right now. Actually, no, it wasn't me. It was like one of the agents.
In your intern.
Yeah, but I'm gonna figure out how to unfuck that. So the idea is that instead of just typing in Claude on your terminal, you
Yeah.
prefix it with VT, the VibeTunnel,
VibeTunnel. Yeah.
and then it'll just feel like regular Claude.
Okay.
But you can also go on a website and you see basically your terminal as a copy. Because we wanted to build something that doesn't change the way you work, but then you can step out and you just can check up on all your instances. And the coolest thing is you can also press new terminal, and then you get a new terminal on your phone, but you also get a new window on your computer. The way I do it is I open it.
It closely synced in that way.
Yes, and nobody's building that because all those companies, they want their cloud-based solution and like blah blah blah. But that's not the workflow that works for like, I think that's not the optimal workflow for like small developers. Because I want to work on my computer. I want to have my windows. I don't want to change. I don't want to just be on the website. I have much less control, and those tools are not as good. I want to have the same workflow. So what you do is actually we use AppleScript to open a new window, and then I use accessibility with AppleScript to type in the command that you trigger from your phone, and then our binaries is injected, and then we can take control on the terminal level with like something a little bit more efficient. But it was really cool to build because you have to use this mix of really old and crafty technology, and then like you have like a cool Mac UI. You have like front end that uses actually really modern stuff,
right?
And a lot of creativity. Like, okay, how can we do this actually? Because one of my friends was like, "Oh no, it's fine. We'll just use the website now." I'm like, you maybe, but like I want to change. I'm gonna figure out a way.
Right.
And then that's not there yet, but eventually we also detect if Claude's working. So if there's like output, then we know, okay, something's happening there. So he's still looping, good. And this tree already stopped looping, bad. So you easily see
you can also stop any particular response that is going on. It's not just that you are observing. You can stop. You can also give a new prompt. You have the whole control over your Claude window, right?
Yeah, it's not just Claude. It's like literally anything you can do in a terminal. So why would you?
Can we say this is like a super app to control all the AI agents that uses CLI?
It controls everything that you can do in your terminal. If you want to like,
okay,
if you want to play Doom, you could probably play Doom. I mean, we have to check if you can actually play Doom, but I guess we have to. It should, same as last work. How hard can it be?